7 o'clock, but open air theatre is coming back to Shropshire as things gradually, slowly but surely, come back in terms of the entertainment industry. You're going to be able to see a new play called Relatively Speaking at Salton Hall in Wem between the 20th and the 23rd of May. And Shropshire lad Tom Thornhill will be one of the actors. He joins me now to tell me a little bit more about it. Tom, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mark. I'm doing really well, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on.
That's all right. I don't know whether you're in Shropshire at the moment, but I don't want to alarm you. This is open air theatre, and earlier it was hailing.
Yeah, no, I spent last week up in Shropshire rehearsing, completely outdoors, back in London at the moment, but well accustomed to the changeable weather of Shropshire. Don't worry, I will be all right.
Tell me what this play's about then. What have you got?
So, Relatively Speaking is an Alan Ayckbourn classic. It's sort of a witty garden comedy. 3 out of the 4 scenes are set outdoors in a garden. And so we thought Salton Hall would be the perfect place to bring it to. I don't know if you've been, but it's an absolutely breathtaking, beautiful setting run by Tim Ashton there. And it's a farce. There are 2 couples, a young couple, Greg and Ginny, and a sort of late middle-aged couple, Philip and Sheila. And the play starts in Greg's flat, and Greg finds some slippers under his bed that are not his. And he asks Ginny about it. Ginny's quite mysterious about it. And somehow, through the workings and machinations of the script, the 2 couples end up together at Philip and Sheila's grand house in the country. But there are all kinds of misunderstandings and misdirection, and it's almost a Shakespearean farce, but for the modern day. And it's been such a joy to rehearse, rain and hail aside, of course.
Nice to get back then with something fun to do, fun to be in, get a laugh rather than, anything. I don't know whether audiences are in the mood for something too heavy, given, what we've all experienced.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's been a tough 12 or 13 months or so for everyone, hasn't it? And I think that was the idea behind Robin Case, the director, who's based out of Shrewsbury. That was his idea, I think, to try and bring something light, funny, witty, engaging. Hopefully audiences won't have to use their minds too much. They'll be able to come, have a lovely afternoon in beautiful Salton Hall, be entertained, laugh, and hopefully forget some of the worries of the last year. That's what we're aiming for. And it's been, as you say, absolutely fantastic to rehearse something like that. Not too much darkness, not too much intensity, light, airy, breezy, and such a thrill to be doing it in Shropshire.
Did you say who you play? Again, what's your character?
So I'm Greg. So I am the young, slightly hapless romantic who has decided that he thinks that Ginny, his girlfriend of only about a month or so, he has decided that she is the one, and he wants to spend his life with her until he finds these mysterious slippers under his bed, and that creates a little bit of tension, a little bit of doubt for him. But he's lovely. He's sweet, hapless. Ginny, his girlfriend, is a little bit more worldly wise than him. He's a sweet, innocent guy, really, just trying to make his way in the world. And he's been really fun to play, really, really fun to play.
Hapless, romantic, maybe unfortunate in love. How close to you is that?
That's it. Not too close to me,
Good.
Although Robin Case, the director, I think he's done a good job of the casting. I mean, I'm not having to reach too far from myself to play him, really. And it's so nice as well to be coming back to Shropshire. Obviously, I grew up in Shropshire. I went to school in Whitchurch. My parents still live in Ash. And so one of the beautiful things about this play is not just it's brought me work. When I was there rehearsing last week, it also brought me back to my parents for the first time in about 8 months, I believe. So it's been special professionally and also a really special experience personally. I mean, I spend most of my time in London. And I was back in Salton Hall, waking up every morning, rolling green fields and sunshine and cows in the fields. And it's really special, really, really special.
That is a decent thing to offer a casting director, isn't it? Because you're guaranteed to bring about 10 people, just people you know.
Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, I can guarantee my parents and my mother is doing her best to get the whole village out. So that is definitely a little bonus I can bring for sure. Um, but to be fair, three of the cast have got Shropshire links. Adrian Monaghan, who plays Philip, he's based out of Shrewsbury and is a professional actor there. And then we have Rosie Phillip, who's playing Sheila, who is based in Bishopsgate. So
Okay.
there's actually a really strong Shropshire contingent putting this play together, which is really, really lovely. So when people come and see it, they will be getting a sort of a Shropshire flavour of Alan Ayckbourn. And I think that's really lovely.
It is an amazing place, isn't it, Salton Hall? And we speak to the people who run it quite regularly, and I think that they're putting up some sort of Stonehenge type structure at the moment, and they've got the long barrow kind of old sort of prehistoric type internment ground, and there's a beautiful house there. It's a fascinating place to be and work, I imagine.
It is. It's really. I often call it the greatest hidden treasure in Shropshire, because there are quite a lot of people that still haven't been to it. But Tim Ashton, who runs it, a young guy, only a couple of years older than me, I believe, he studied at Oxford University. But instead of going off and, I don't know, entering the city or the commercial world, he decided that he would come back to his parents' farm and he would sort of revolutionize it and transform it into a hub for the community. And yeah, absolutely remarkable place. The Long Barrow, the theatre that's been built, the walled garden where we'll be performing. It's a really, really beautiful place. And I feel really lucky. I was actually part of the first ever show to perform there last year with a company called British Touring Shakespeare. I was in a show called Two Gentlemen of Verona, and we were the first ever show to perform there. We were the test run, if you like. And so it's been really special for me. I've known Tim for 5 or 6 years as well now, and it's been really special for me to having been part of that first sort of launch project, just to see it go from strength to strength. I mean, there was an absolutely breathtaking National Youth Theatre production there last year, site-specific, designed by the National Youth Theatre, specially for that site, which is such an incredible thing for Tim to have brought to Shropshire. I mean, people normally have to travel, a 200-mile round trip to see the National Youth Theatre, but they brought their show not just to Shropshire, but they designed it for Shropshire as well. And the programme for this summer is extensive. There's a pantomime, Treasure Island. I'm coming back again with Twelfth Night and Hound of the Baskervilles on the 26th and 27th of June. And it's going from strength to strength. And, all I can say really is all credit to Tim Ashton, his family and the team there for building what I think is the best hidden treasure in Shropshire, hopefully not hidden for much longer.
How long have you been out of action? Is this the first thing back for you in terms of an acting gig?
Well, so as I say, I toured last year with a company called British Touring Shakespeare, who I'll be touring with again all around the country. But I've spent the last sort of 4 or 5 months working almost exclusively on Zoom. So I work for a company called The Whodunit, who run Zoom murder mysteries live, where I play a variety of suspects, and it sort of works in breakout rooms, and each team gets a chance with each suspect for 10 minutes to ask them anything they want. And so I sort of improvise around a loose script in character, and especially in sort of January, February, March, when it was cold, it was wet, none of the pubs were open. I was doing that on average sort of 4 or 5 nights a week, working away on Zoom, which has been a whole nother sort of skill to learn, because this is the sort of thing where when you first start, it feels quite bizarre having an audience of 200 people or so, a real busy audience, but they're all just looking at you on a screen and you can't really sort of feel them and touch them and understand the experience. But as time's gone on, I've probably got, I don't know what I'd say, 150, 200 shows of them under my belt now. It's become a skill in itself that actually I really enjoy. I mean, without those murder mysteries and the company, The Whodunit, run by a theatre director called Jack Robertson, I mean, I would have found it really tough, because there was sort of a 3-month gap where I didn't work. And so I started those in, I'd say, mid-November. And they've sort of very fortunately carried me through up until this production of Relatively Speaking.
Tough when people are asking you questions as well. You know, when you've got the audience who are able to quiz you, when you're used to working from a script and kind of doing relatively contained improvisation. I bet you get asked some really weird stuff and you've got to be quick to react.
Oh, yeah. Well, lots of people tend to book it for something like a birthday party or a social event, because obviously that you can't gather en masse, but you can gather en masse on Zoom. And so the early shows at 5 or 7 o'clock, fairly okay. We do late shows at 9 o'clock, where often people have had several drinks. And so, as you can imagine, some of the questions there do get quite surreal and quite bizarre. But it's all good fun. And it's been a real joy, to be honest with you, to find a new way in this pandemic of entertaining audiences and bringing some joy. And, you know, always be grateful for that. And yeah, it's just a joy to do, really, a joy to do. And as you say, a little bit unusual having to sort of improvise so loosely around people really can ask anything. And
did anyone totally stump you? Did anyone completely you had nothing?
I think it's probably only happened once, which caused great embarrassment to me, because after about 3 months or so of doing the show, a show called Murder on the Underground Express, set in 1929, and the launch of one of the first London Underground trains, there's been a murder of the man who set it up. And it transpired, I was asked a question about everything going dark, and why couldn't the passengers see the murder if everything was dark? And now, I'd been asked by that point hundreds of questions before, and I don't know why. I think maybe because you go slightly into autopilot when you've done a lot of questions before. It just completely stumped me, and I came up with some nonsense answer about the windows being tinted or something. And then I told the rest of the cast afterwards, and they said, "Tom, you absolute idiot. It's dark because they're underground. It's an underground tunnel."
Clues in the title.
Yeah, literally in the title, you know, and not my proudest moment. But you do occasionally get little slips, especially when you're doing sometimes 2 or 3 shows a night. We do 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So little slips like that can come in. But mostly, thanks, Mark, I've managed to stay on track.
So this is, then, relatively speaking, is this the Richard Briers role that you're playing?
Yes.
Did he play it first in the 60s?
He did, yeah. He made this role famous. That production is quite legendary. I mean, this show, Relatively Speaking, was really the show that put Alan Ayckbourn on the map. He'd had a few small productions before this, but yeah, that production with Richard Briers sort of made him the theatre writing star that he is. It's the thing that launched him. So it's a really special piece of text, and also just such a special thing to be bringing such a beautiful setting in the outdoors. I mean, I'm sure somebody somewhere has presented this outdoors before, but I've never seen it or heard of it outdoors. And as I say, 3 of the 4 scenes are set in Philip and Sheila's garden. So it's just it's a perfect marriage of opportunity and venue, really. And it's just going to be so beautiful. And I hope the people of Shropshire will come out and support it. It's going to be on the 20th to the 23rd of May. So 2 shows a day at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. on the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. And I just can't wait to bring it and perform it. I mean, it's so special for me to be coming back to where I grew up. You know, my parents are 10 minutes down the road in the car. And I think it's going to be a brilliant experience. And I really, really hope people of Shropshire will come out and support us. As live theatre, all the joy that is being in an audience and experiencing something live, that special feeling of experiencing something live with a group of people. It's coming back. It's coming to Shropshire. And I hope it'll be really, really funny.
I hope it goes really well. And I imagine then we'll speak to you again in about 4 or 5 weeks before you come back with the Shakespeare.
Well, I'd absolutely love to. If you'd have me on, I'd be absolutely thrilled to come back, and talk about 12th Night and Hound of the Baskervilles, because they're going to be great shows as well. I've had my first couple of rehearsals this week. That's actually why I've come back to London, to squeeze those in between coming back for Relatively Speaking. And yeah, it's going to be great shows. Must say, there's lots of other brilliant things on at Salton Hall as well. I'm going to do my best to get to the National Youth Theatre's Animal Farm that's coming later in the summer. Lots of brilliant stuff. So please, everyone, support it. And I'll always be happy to come on the show, Mark, and chat about it.
You are always welcome. Tom, thank you very much for now. We'll speak to you soon. That's Tom Thornhill, who's in Relatively Speaking at Salton Hall in Wem. He did a really good job of plugging it, and everything else going on there. It is an amazing place. But just in case you missed it, May the 20th to the 23rd, if you want to get some outdoor theatre in.
Breakfast on BBC Radio